this is your first time watching Rocky 3, no?
That's a lie.
Oh, okay.
I realized, I was like, of course I've seen this freaking movie.
You're 3 movies in. How do we continue to make this character relevant?
He has more now to be afraid for.
3 full fleshed out fights.
Yeah.
For a movie that comes in at like an hour and 39 minutes. Perfect. Welcome back to another episode of Real Chumps. We're chatting about movies, feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me as always is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we are discussing Rocky 3, directed by and starring Sylvester Stallone, with screenplay also by Stallone. The film features returning favorites Talia Shire, Burt Young, Carl Weathers, and introduces Mr. T as the fierce new rival, Clubber Lang.
I pity the fool.
I pity the fool!
In this episode, we'll be discussing what makes Rocky 3 a pivotal turning point in the Rocky franchise, both in tone and character development. We'll talk about its iconic training montage, the shifting identity of Rocky Balboa, and how the film balances grief, pride, and grit in and out of the ring.
But before we roll the intro, if you enjoy what we do and want to support us, head over to realchums.com where you can leave a donation at any amount, $1, $5, maybe even $100 if you're feeling generous.
With that said,
let's roll that intro. I have a question for today.
Yeah.
If you were gonna see, if you're gonna have like an iconic boxing match of 2 characters, real or fictional, I don't care, who would you put in the ring?
Okay, so this is the plot line of Rocky Balboa, the 6th Rocky movie. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would love to see, what's his face? Jake Gyllenhaal's character from Southpaw against Rocky, because they're both Southpaws.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. And what's that character's name? Anyways, the Jake Gyllenhaal character, he's so aggressive.
He's aggressive.
Right? Whereas, like, Rocky just takes a beating like no one. So, like, it'd be great to see. I mean, I think Jake Gyllenhaal's character beats Rocky.
Oh, wow, that's a hot take. I could see that, and then Rocky comes back for another fight, and
Rocky. Let's see. Rocky from the first movie would go toe to toe. Rocky in this and Rocky 3 would totally lose.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I mean, I think actually that would be a better fight. This Rocky against Jake Gyllenhaal's character from Southpaw. I think for me, I would love to see. Yeah, I mean Southpaw. Why do I feel like I want Brad Pitt or from Fight Club? What or not Brad Pitt? Edward Norton versus I don't know, some other quirky character. Let me think of another boxing or another brawl, kind of like a brawler. Could do Edward Norton versus let's do Mr. T versus who's the guy in Creed? The Majors plays? Jonathan Major versus Mr. T.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would do.
The character Jonathan Majors plays against Mr. T. That would be good.
That would be good, right? They're both
really good.
They have this. Oh man, I was so pumped to talk about this movie.
That's a good matchup. Let us know, listeners, viewers, who would you want in a fictional melee battle?
I have to say, we do not have our boxing matches. I mean, that's a lie. There are some boxing matches right now that are lively, but I feel like boxing matches not nearly. They're like our movie boxing matches are way better than real life boxing matches.
Well, yeah, well, I mean,
and I just want more real. I want movie boxing matches in real life.
Yeah. Look, let's. This is we're continuing our discussion on sports movies with Rocky 3.
And I'm here for it.
We've had a good run so far, and this is I love Rocky. I mean, if you're a longtime listener, I just love Rocky. But I kind of want to let's talk about the synopsis, and then we can talk a little bit about our relationship with the movie. So Rocky 3 picks up with Rocky Balboa enjoying the peak of fame and success as the heavyweight champ. But after suffering a devastating loss to a hungry new contender, Clubber Lang, Rocky must face his self-doubt and regain his fighting spirit with some unexpected help from his former rival, Apollo Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Danny, talk to me. What's your relationship with this? This is your first time watching Rocky 3, no?
That's a lie.
Oh, okay.
I realized, I was like, of course I've seen this freaking movie. It's been a hot minute though. But I'm pretty sure that I've only seen it one other time, like from beginning to end.
Okay.
And so every other time has been through some like TV, like at the time, sometime in high school, I watched it from beginning to end. And then I think after that, it was just like, oh, like they were doing like a Rocky marathon of some kind or whatever. Mm-hmm. And got into there. I do remember, I mean, to me, part of this is just like the sheer physicality of both Stallone, the Italian stallion, and Creed, just truly unmatched. These guys are peak men of like just a physique of like of determination of all sorts of aspects, and it is super inspiring.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched this third one. Rocky 3. I was just kind of like, this is different.
Yes,
especially from like the first and the second.
Yep.
And we'll talk about like the change of tone and like where the characters are now and the trajectory that puts them for the rest of the franchise. But it felt different, and I wasn't sure. I think the first time I watched it, I was just, I don't know if I like it. But man, Sylvester Stallone is fit AF. Like he's so holy cow.
His face is super lean.
He's super lean. I think I read. I think they announced that he's like at 192 by the final match, right? I think the first time he fights, what's his face, Thunder Lips.
I forgot.
I think they say he's like 200 and something.
Yeah, he's doing like
202 or 200.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But Balboa is 202.
Yeah.
And he's like 250 or something like
295, I think. So
Yeah,
it was like some ridiculous amount.
I mean, he's freaking so massive.
And then, but by the end, by the last fight, Rocky has dropped to like 190 something, 192. But I think I read in real life he was like at 170. Like he is lean.
Yes.
And then I know a lot of people like make fun of like the beach scene when they're running, and like you get these like close shots.
It's like the slow mo on the face.
Yeah, no, but like I think people like don't like how it like closes up on like their thighs.
Oh yes, I mean the crotch shot.
Yeah, the crotch
shot. I mean,
it's weird.
Listen,
but look, those are some.
Yes.
Those thighs, man.
As a man who was slapping his thigh because I said that you had chicken legs. He was like, no freaking fat here.
Earlier today, yes, you did say I had chicken legs, and I proved that wrong. No, but like, but yeah, I just remember being like, holy cow, these guys are fit. And then there is something that I just have always loved about this movie. It's just what Sylvester Stallone decided to do with the character of Apollo. Like,
yeah,
this is just a beautiful, and we'll discuss it in a bit, but like, it's just this turning point for Creed. I never saw him as like this horrible villain.
No.
Right? And it was just great what he does with this character and says, you know what, I'm gonna write him as this like friend, and like we develop in Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 just this beautiful like friendship and bromance and like just this great like these two best friends in just these two movies, and I always loved what Sylvester Stallone did with that. So
I think what I miss here, especially coming from Happy Gilmore, is that Carl Weathers did not get enough comedy bits, even though he has like moments, and like seeing Carl Weathers in Happy Gilmore and then seeing him here in this film, I can just see the small glimpses of what becomes him as Chubby in Happy Gilmore. Chubbs in Happy Gilmore. And I just, Carl Weathers, man.
Carl Weathers is so good here.
He's so good.
He's good in all of these, but like he is just... Let's start there.
Let's do it. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this episode, please consider subscribing to us here on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And after the show, check out our episode on Creed 3. Now back to the show. What is it about Apollo, Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed in this film that you feel like Stallone has honed in on to make this story fantastic?
Yeah, he's this former heavyweight champion, right? In the first movie, he really is focused on how are we going to make this big event, this bicentennial fight, right? He picks out Rocky. He gives him his shot. In the second movie, he feels like the audience hasn't. The general public feels like Rocky won, and he wants to really prove to himself that no, like I can take this chump any day, anytime, right? And so like his desire to just be the best. And Rocky has that, but like it's just he's already been the best. He's proving it time and time again, and he's going to once again prove it in Rocky 2. And when he loses, this mutual respect that they have at the end, like on in the ring, and then bringing that here, he recognizes talent. He knows what's good, and I think he approaches Rocky in the sense of like you are not like. You're not who you used to be, right? You've lost that look in your eyes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And even when he goes and takes him to train in LA, like look at these guys' eyes, like you don't have that anymore, right? And I think there's this like beautiful mentor role that he takes, and and it's great because Mickey dies, and so who's gonna mentor him, right? And it's just a stroke of genius to say, well, how about his rival from the last two movies? Like, let's put him in this position that is going to challenge Rocky, but it's also going to challenge the character of Apollo to see him in a different light, not as a fighter, but as a mentor, as a coach, as a trainer, right? And it's just a recipe for like conflict, for character growth. Like I said, to see this character of Apollo in a different way that I just absolutely love.
I think the fact that they open up this film with the match of the title weight, right? And we're brought back. I can only imagine seeing this in theaters for the first time, rewatching Rocky 2, coming in and being passionate. And then having this intriguing aspect with the first bout with Lang, right? Because Weathers is there, and he recognizes that this guy is that Lang is there not because of the love of the sport, and that he and shows the level of sportsmanship that he has as an individual, right? And then it amplifies that with his, like you said, like the fact that they have this training and it becomes this. He's like, what if we look at him not as a rival but as a mentor? What I will say though is I feel like Stallone actually does such a phenomenal. Like what I think is really powerful here is although Mickey dies, it's there. I think the fact that Weathers comes in and plays this role is something that I think that like I forgot that how much of a it's not just about the sports or the physicality, but it's about the mental perspective and what we do to ourselves when we've been shaken. And I think specifically we get the subtext of a Creed never, like, he obviously he had his moment in that of coming through that either before the bout with the second movie or maybe shortly after to some degree, because he still wants to know if no one's watching, who's the better fighter. Right.
You owe me a favor.
Yeah. What favor?
Could they have put that phrase in any more than what they did? No, I think you're right, and I think it's great because there's this beautiful dynamic between Rocky and Apollo that isn't with Rocky and Mickey. Mickey and Rocky, it's this father-like mentorship, right?
Yeah.
And Rocky talks a lot about that in the first movie. Like he no one believes in him, and he goes asking help for Mickey to train him, and Mickey shuts him down, and then
Yeah.
Mickey goes and says, "No, I'll train you," and then Rocky shuts him down, right? And it's this father son banter going back and forth. Whereas here it really is like a peer and a
Yes,
mentor, someone
yeah.
who has that experience and is wanting and willing and respects Rocky enough to say, dude, let me like help you, like let me get you back on track. And I think it's a great dynamic, like I said, that we don't have with Mickey. And it's awesome because now we're challenging the character. You're 3 movies in. How do we continue to make this character relevant and still fresh? 3 movies in.
And I think I think this is why Clubber Lang's character is interesting, because I think what Stallone does so well is that he doesn't focus on Lang, right?
Mm-hmm.
He focuses on this up and comer. He instills juxtaposition on the cross training montage between before the first fight with them, with the circus and Lang just putting in, Mr. T putting in the reps to feel the pain, and get ready for this fight, right?
What's your prediction for this match?
Pain. Man, I love it. Man, in high school, I played the fool.
Oh, so good.
Oh man, Mr. T. I forgot like his mohawk, man. His character.
Yeah.
Just his style as Mr. T is iconic. It is so. I just love that he's in this film.
Uh-huh.
But back to my point of like, Stallone could have easily made this about the same thing as Rocky, right? That we've had in the past 2 films. A new challenger. He's the king now. He's being challenged. He gets defeated. He has to. He's going to come back, and it is what it is. But we're not. We don't. We know that Lang's drive is bloodthirsty he's just a fighter, and he disagrees with how Rocky is. He thinks he's better. His mind is, I am better than this man and every person in the ring, and I'm going to prove it.
Yes, I did want to I wish the script had dug a little bit more into that, because Clubber Lang is in the same shoes that Rocky was in the first movie.
And I agree with there. I do agree with that. And I think they don't do it enough justice.
Yeah.
Where I think with Happy Gilmore, even if it was they have like a one intro montage before, as Rocky's going through different bouts, that we start to get we have this juxtaposition this montage of bouts with Rocky, and then all of a sudden he becomes famous. He becomes more and more famous. Sponsorship deals. He becomes an actual athlete.
Yeah.
Or an icon, an athletic icon, and Lang is where he was.
Yes. Which I think this time around, I feel more for Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
Because the guy just wants a fair shot at the title, right?
Yeah.
And Mickey has been ghosting him and doesn't allow Clubber to fight Rocky.
Yeah.
And so I think it's such a great, quote unquote, villain for a sports movie, because and we have to dig into it a little bit. The script doesn't quite give it to us, but he is in the same spot that Rocky was 2 movies ago.
Right.
And so why shouldn't we give him the shot? Why wouldn't we want to, as an audience, root for this guy? And I think the script does a little bit in making him the scene with the statue, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just talking smack. I love it. And then he goes to Adrian. Want to see a real man?
Of course, of course.
But it's just he's a great villain, because he is where Rocky was, and Rocky can be what Apollo Creed was to Rocky was like, yeah, I'll give you a shot. Let's do it. And he doesn't, right? He is threatened eventually. And I love that because of that, Rocky has fear and he's afraid. And whereas Apollo didn't see Rocky like that, he just saw this as a great exhibition match, like it's the American dream, as he would say.
It's
and it's great because we do get to see Rocky break it down here, and something that we didn't see, that Apollo didn't never felt that threat in, at least in the first one, but Rocky feels it here, and it's just a great opportunity for the character of Rocky to just have some challenges, and be confronted with something that he hadn't been before.
And I think that this is why I think I like the shift in tone, because easily Stallone could have written like he sees him, this idea of like he sees a reflection and he like doubles down like, no, I'm going to be there. But he has fear. And I think that like there's this level of like of realization of he has more now to be afraid for, to lose.
Yeah.
He has more to lose now. And that fear, whereas, Creed to a degree, like he earned, but he found his place and he knew what he can do, right? There's a solidification of like, to a degree, maybe, but of that he, you could lose stuff, but like he's a fighter. He's going to continue, and I think that's why him coming back to be his mentor, and like, you gotta, the eye of the tiger, you gotta get the eye. Is iconic, and
yeah.
it's what, and I truly do appreciate the way Mr. T portrays Clubber. I think my biggest thing is that like, the reason why we don't get too much is because Clubber is way more. There's a level of arrogance.
Yeah.
That too arrogant. And too aggressive, too angry. Maybe not aggressive, too angry, because that's what it really is. He's angry at the world. He's angry at everybody, and it's put him into this negative space where he only fights with pure power of anger.
Yes, and I would have loved to see more of that, because he has every right to be angry.
Yeah.
Like, the system isn't letting him fight the champ.
Yeah.
Right? He wants to, and apparently, like, we're being told, like, this guy takes everyone out. Like, he is really good. Why shouldn't he have the chance to take on the champ, right?
Yep.
And fight for the title. And so, like, I would have loved for the movie to dug a little more into that. It doesn't, but he's still a great villain.
So great.
From his aggressiveness, like you mentioned, and like Mr. T actually does a lot with this character. Like,
no,
he brings it to life really well.
He does. I think that like I don't think we talk about him enough when we think about this movie specifically. We think of, Creed and Rocky.
Yeah.
And yet Mr. T is what is the linchpin to this movie, is like he is Rocky in a different, in a whole different perspective, and he just wants to be, and
he just wants to have a shot.
he wants a shot.
That's all he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think his performance is really great. And how he delivers his lines is just iconic, man.
One last thought is I think I appreciate more this Clubber more because of Creed 3. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Major's character, and the aggression, and like that we get more of this backstory with that character.
Yes.
And we can look at this film, and we can look at Mr. T's at Clubber, and we can see what Stallone had in his head through this montage, that we can piece together a set. We know that he's in the same level, like who Rocky was, things later, and I can see how this then portrays into, and I don't know. I mean, I was trying to see if Coogler's not declared which film, but him and his dad used to watch Rocky 2 a lot, and that was. There's a great familiar bond and a love for the franchise, and obviously he's made 3 films, right? But I think that this movie has made me like has no Creed 3 has made me to appreciate this movie, and this movie has made me appreciate the Creed series more.
Yeah.
Because this shift in tone of the film's entirety for this franchise solidified it, honestly.
Sure. Yes.
Into what a Rocky film could be, what a boxing film can feel like and should feel like.
Yeah.
And I truly I appreciate it.
No, I like that comment because I think making that connection of Mr. T of Clubber and Jonathan Major's character, like they're both wanting a shot, right?
Yeah.
They both feel like the system hasn't allowed them to have the success that they wanted, and clearly Creed 3 develops that a bit more, it fleshes that aspect more than this one does. But I think you're right on it. Like that's what Sylvester Stallone was trying to get to. Didn't quite land it, but Creed 3 definitely expands on that and really nails that conflict from the antagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah.
I will say the only thing I think when we're talking about characters, my little gripe is actually with Adrian.
Adrian? Yo, Adrian.
And his like beef, like him feeling like he's forgotten. I don't know. I just feel like that was a little like that little sequence at the beginning towards the beginning of the film. I just didn't land well with me this time watching it.
Adrian?
Not with Adrian. Not freaking Adrian. The guy who...
Paulie?
Paulie.
Oh,
Paulie.
yeah. I don't know what that sequence was about.
Right? He's like depressed and like sad, and he's angry for being forgotten or something.
And he throws the bottle,
the flask at the pinwheel,
the
and then
pinball machine, and then they make up right
and
after, and that's it.
Have them live at the house and whatever, and I wouldn't trust him with my kid.
Funny you say that, because one of my notes as I was watching the movie is they're leaving to go to the statue ceremony, right? And I literally wrote, "I'd never leave my child with Paulie." Right there.
I wrote, I'm like, why is his kid never with him?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no. Paulie, that character just. In this movie, he does not age well.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't age well. I just also don't know. I don't know if he wrote, like, I feel like Stallone meant to have something more, and then he just forgot about it. Like it was something to help maybe motivate a drive to bring us back into the state of where Rocky's at, right?
Yeah.
Because we have like what 30 minutes, 25 minutes of a montage sequences between the opening bout with Apollo, him having the fighting his bouts, and then becoming famous and iconic, to Clubber Lang taking over, and then we basically end with that, and Paul and this Mikey and Paul and Clubber and blah blah blah. But it just doesn't land very well.
No, it doesn't. I think there was a thought there of like, how can we create some conflict here? How do we push Paulie as a character? But it wasn't. It was just done in 30 seconds, and it's like, what is that? Are we coming back to this? Like,
no,
what's happening here?
And then he's like he like wants to give up on Rocky, even though he's with him in freaking California. I just don't.
Why bring? Why bring?
I have so many questions. Why would you leave your kid in Philly with a nanny? Like, why don't you just bring him?
And then his racist comments, freaking.
I know, freaking Paulie.
He just did not age well here. Adrian, though.
Yes, Adrian, though.
She's great.
She's phenomenal. I truly.
No. Go ahead.
My thing is, like, I really don't like. I truly, like I said earlier, the fact that they have this between Rocky and Adrian, and they're yelling, and then they come to a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful testament of a film, of like a dude film, to showcase real emotion. The fact that you can have an argument with your wife and make do, like, that you don't have to like hold a grudge. Like, this perspective to me, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it. I just think it's great.
No, you're absolutely right. Because let's look at Adrian in the first movie, just super shy, timid.
Yeah.
Paulie just verbally abuses her so bad.
Yes.
She gains confidence by having Rocky chase after her, and in the second movie, I feel like she didn't get enough. Mm-hmm. And then here, she challenges him in that one scene, and it's great because like you could have easily just have had Apollo do that talking like that. Like what's wrong with you, right? Like what are you afraid of, right? And instead, like you said, you bring your spouse into it, and she should know Rocky better than anyone, and for her to like say like, no, what's wrong, man? Like tell me, what is it? And I love that. I think this is the best that, unfortunately, this is the best that Adrian gets in this entire franchise.
I agree.
It's a wonderful dialogue that they both have, and I love the idea of how it was shot as well. Like just, we don't get a lot of close-ups in that.
Yeah,
it really is just us. Like watching this couple have this interaction as if we're there walking by on the beach, right? Like we don't get too close with them.
We're not. It's not. We don't get tension. The tension isn't be brought by camera. Mm-hmm. It's more of like a friction of like, well, what is it? Tell me what is your problem? What is it that like I will support you in whatever. Yeah. That's ultimately what Adrian is trying to say. What I think I love about the most is that like throughout the early part of this film, we see Rocky training and can I get a kiss in the circus, and he gives sure, and he like lets her kiss.
That was Stallone's real wife at the moment, his first wife.
Yeah, that's right. And her noting that and thinking, oh my gosh. Yeah. But him always being she being his rock, right? And I think that this moment is a huge payoff to this. And I love her line that says, well, I'm a fighter's wife. Mm-hmm. Because I think, what is he? Rocky says, how'd you get so tough?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful scene. And I think it's like the highlight. It's like the highlight of the movie for me.
Mine too.
Just because I've always wanted more out of Adrian. And finally she's given that moment to really shine, and it's just the perfect like setup. Like she asks him like, why did we come here, right? And he's just kind of like, I don't know, it's like I don't want it anymore. And she's like, okay, if it's over, good, I'm glad, like because it takes a toll on me.
Yeah.
Right. But is it over because like
you want it to be over?
You want it to be over? Are you just quitting? Like what's And it's great because like and we see that in the first movie all the way to the last in 5, right? She does not want him to fight.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful dialogue between the two of like, yeah, I'm glad that you're quitting, but what is the reason behind the quitting? And I think it's just a great moment for like the character of Rocky to ponder, think, to have that friction, that conflict with his spouse, and for her to just like yell at him and say like, no, like what are you afraid of? Yeah. And for us to get that realization that then just leads to that beautiful montage, training montage. So
yeah.
She's great. She's awesome. So after watching this, I ended up watching 4, 5, and 6. And I'm always just so sad that she's not in the 6th one.
I know, me too.
They killed her off. But it's just, she's great. Talia's great.
She's so great. My final comment is like, I think I'm just grateful that we have a piece of cinema at this era that has such a powerful moment.
Yeah.
And like you said, and I just want to, second it once more that it's the highlight for me of the film. Mm-hmm. It's a reminder that it's okay to get in spouse with to have your spouse push back on you, for you to push back on your spouse in healthy ways.
Yeah.
Right. And that, the healthy ways are to show whatever it is that you want to do, I'm supportive, but do it because it's real, not because you are afraid of growing.
Yeah.
You know, that's for she knew that there was something more, you know, and I love your comment that you redoubled this. Like this could have easily been Apollo.
Yeah.
You know, he was frustrated. He could tell that he wasn't getting the eye. You know, he wasn't coming back to the thing that drives the fighter, a true fighter, to be in the ring, bout after bout, right? And I think they do a great job. And then we get the glorious I think because of that moment, we have the actual montage of him getting freaking honed in with Weathers and just our glorious crotch shot.
Running in the beach, celebrating in the water in slow motion, hugging each other out.
This leads to what's it, Maverick or Top Gun?
Oh, it's a Top Gun.
No, classic. We should have just a montage of. We should find out how many movies have done beach scenes with bros.
Of slightly homoerotic feelings.
Also, was it like a thing to have a tube top or not tube, but like a crop top
Like
for
a
men?
crop top for men in the 80s, yeah, man.
Right.
Big with football players.
That's right. I remember now. Yep.
And Carl Weathers himself being a former NFL player.
That's right.
Look, I want to talk a little bit about like the tone, like this shift in tone, because the first two movies are very like heavy dramas.
Yeah.
Right, and you get, I don't know, in the first movie you get what, like 2 boxing matches.
Yeah.
Right, the beginning one and then just the final one. And I think it's interesting what Sylvester Stallone decides to do in writing this. Like, I think this is him. In the second movie, he wrote, and that was his first time directing, and it very much felt like he was trying to complement what John Avildsen had done with the first Rocky.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like, continue that story, continue that tone. But here's when he really steps into it and says, I'm making my movie how I want to, right? And there's so much more action. I love just how perfectly paced this movie is.
This movie is paced really well.
Yes. I mean, even starting, and you know me, I love a good, like, montage, like I do. In exposition, I am a sucker for, like, exposition when it's done right. And that, like, opening montage, going back to showing us what happened in Rocky 2, and the exposition of of the fame that he's getting, the defending his title several times, 10 times, and all of that, like, the movie just goes and goes and goes, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And it's this wonderful, like, I really think it's a great shift in the tone, especially again after 3 movies in. How do you continue to keep audiences engaged? And even like Rocky 2 wasn't as well received as the first one. So how do we change it from a filmmaking perspective, from a script perspective, and keep audiences wanting to come back for more? And I think the movie does it really well with the pacing, with more fights. Because in the end we have like the montage at the beginning, but then we have Thunder Lips, we have the first Clubberling, and then we have the third Clubberling.
Yes.
Or the second Clubberling. So like 3 full fleshed out fights.
Yeah.
And it is just done wonderfully for a movie that comes in at like 1 hour and 39 minutes. Perfect. Just perfect.
Double whammies for you. You got two in the bank, my guy. No, I that was the thing that I thought was there. The only thing that I felt like was slightly missed is the Thunder, the wrestling match.
Oh,
the
Thunder Lips?
Thunder Lips or Whips. That fight felt slightly too long, but I don't know if it was because of, I don't know. It just there. But I think it's because I haven't watched it in a while. Honestly, is what it comes down to. Because that fight is bonkers. Could you just imagine that today?
I don't think we realize, and maybe younger audiences don't realize, like, how pivotal this was. Early 1980s, the WWF
Yes.
was a big thing. Like it's becoming this sport. People are watching it. Every boy in the 80s watches wrestling.
Now, wasn't there two, a WWF and then WW?
Something else. Yeah.
I learned about this because Gabe is a huge wrestling fan.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
I ended up going. I got it. Let me see if I can find it.
I just watched the Netflix, not just back when it came out, the Netflix documentary, Mr. McMahon, and it goes through everything, but like this is just a perfect timing for this movie, and for what's his face, Thunderlips, what's his real name, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
But like it's iconic because this just puts Hulk Hogan on this massive path of success. He becomes the face of WWF. McMahon, his dad, current Mr. McMahon's dad, just kind of piggybacks off of this, and so does Vince. And I think 2 years later, I think it was 2 years later, we had the first WrestleMania, and the final match was Mr. T and Hulk Hogan going up against two other dudes. Yeah. So like it was just perfect time to like showcase Hulk Hogan, for Thunderlips to come out. To all my love slaves out there, I just love that line. Thunderlips is here, in the flesh, baby. What is it? The ultimate male against the ultimate meatball. Yeah.
The lining in there is so good. You know, did you do WWE growing up?
Not really.
Me neither. My mom wouldn't allow it. She would she was never okay with, none of it, which is just funny. But it was a huge thing. By the time we were growing up, it had permeated because this film helped to solidify it.
Yeah, I mean, check out the Netflix documentary.
I'll have to do it. Yeah.
Because it takes us. I mean, in the late '90s, early 2000s, WWE takes this weird turn and just becomes extremely violent.
Yes.
Over sexualized.
Yes.
And so like it's interesting to see the trajectory that led it to that point. The montage. Does it work?
Dude, of course it works, my guy. Are you kidding me? This montage is legendary. The rhythm and power, right, is what they're going for, right?
Also, there is no way that Rocky has defended his title 10 times, even though they were not really set up matches, but like specifically picked. And this guy doesn't know how to move his feet in the ring.
I agree. I'm like, what the heck? What like?
Did you get punched in the head too many times that you can't like?
I mean,
I was just, part of me was like, I'm not buying this. Like, I get it. Rocky isn't that great of a fighter. He just like can take a beating.
Yeah,
I get that.
And can hit like a truck.
And can hit hard, right? But like stepping to the side, like I think that's just like,
or even
boxing
like
101.
Speed bags, like, or even like
the speed bag thing. I'm like, what happened, dude? You were punching these fine last time. Like now you can't find like what?
Well, now I'm second guessing my whole reaction now.
But the montage is good.
Yes,
because he gets to step in. He's swimming. We haven't seen him do anything in a pool.
Yeah.
And what's his face? Apollo's like, no, we're using muscles you haven't used. Like, get in there. Duke is back. I love Duke. Duke is great.
This is something that I think is iconic when it comes to a montage in an athlete in a sports film. If it's a franchise, right?
Yeah.
You have to help the athlete get to that next level, right? What are you whether you're training them for the first time or they're training them again. I think the perfect example, again, back to Creed 3, is the fact that, he has to bring in his Creed brings in his nemesis.
That's right.
To help him train, to prep him, right? Similar vibes, but the difference is we get the other side on Creed 3, unlike we get it here, right? It's not like they have the mentorship there. It's that he's recruiting all the people who have helped him, but to push him to his max at every single time he's doing it. Where in this one, he's being pushed to train like an athlete has had to, like a boxer's needed to on who has gone through a professional round for many for a long time period that he hasn't had that opportunity, which I think is great. So
It's great. And I mean, Eye of the Tiger, just playing
3 times in this film, right?
a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Plays at the beginning montage.
And then in the circus with the freaking orchestra.
Oh no, but I think they're playing. Are they playing Eye of the Tiger? There? I thought it was the Rocky theme.
Maybe it is the Rocky. No, I think they're playing the Eye of the Tiger when he's like, it's after everyone's gone and he's in the ring.
Okay.
And he's like, he's like boxing the one guy who doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And then Mickey's like, "Come on, man!" And they have their like thing. He tells him to shut up. I'm pretty sure that's Eye of the Tiger there. Anyways, Eye of the Tiger's throughout this entire film, and it's great.
We didn't talk about this 2 weeks ago or a couple weeks ago with Karate Kid, but that movie in the fighting sequence, it plays "You're the best, you're the best, around."
Yeah.
That was actually pitched for this movie.
Oh,
I don't know if you know this. So it was pitched for Rocky 3. And
okay.
And they gave it to Stallone, and he's like, it's just not it's not hitting. Like I don't like it. So and then it got shopped around, and then it was Karate Kid that picked it up. It's like, yeah, we'll take it. And it worked out great for both.
Yes.
Like that song in Karate Kid, perfect.
Yes.
And Eye of the Tiger here, just perfect. Like everyone benefited from Stallone saying, "No, I don't like. You're the best." Imagine Rocky training.
Dude, you're the best
around. Nothing's gonna keep you down. Right? Like,
I mean, no.
No, it wouldn't.
No.
And then also like Apollo's line delivery of like, "You're lacking the Eye of the Tiger."
Yeah.
You're the best around.
That'd be no. That's sweet, man. Great. That's an awesome fact.
Yeah. Mickey. How do you feel about Mickey? I just kind of want to circle around to Mickey.
Yeah, we didn't talk about him. I'm torn on him a little bit. I know that he's a father figure. I know that he's trying to protect Rocky. But I think that they don't get into it hard enough. I think Rocky doesn't get mad they don't have a good enough fight with each other.
Yeah.
I think it's not that I think that the way the film is great. I think that he did a pretty good job. But I think that because it was Stallone's first bout at writing directing, we miss out on him recognizing.
This is the second time.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry. That him not fully recognizing that there was something more that needed to be done with him and Mickey.
Yeah.
Because Mickey starts to he gets called out that essentially instills the fear, and that's Mickey's protection is what instills his fear that he's not good enough.
Yeah.
And I think that there should have been a little bit more of frustration from Rocky's end it's there. It's just not nearly at the same level that I think for who Rocky is and where he's come from, that it wasn't there. But I think, Mickey's character is good. Young, right? Who plays Mickey?
Oh,
excuse me. No, Black Lung.
No, it's Burgess Meredith.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. No, I think, I get where you're coming from. I think I wanted more, I think he bends to Rocky too quickly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other. Yeah. I can see what you're saying.
And I think even in his training with the music and
the circus,
I think I would have wanted him to be more upset. And again, going back to the first movie, this is Rocky now in Apollo's shoes, where Apollo, it was all like a big circus to him, and coming out wearing the Uncle Sam costume and whatnot. But like, it would have been great for Mickey to kind of been more frustrated, and I think it would have also led to like his passing, maybe more guilt for Rocky to be like, I didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Right. But I do like that scene when they're back in the room, and you know they have that monologue between the two of like, were they setups? No, they weren't setups, and he ain't just another fighter.
Yeah.
Right. And he does his little this guy's a wrecking machine. And it's great. I love the line of him saying, you know, like the worst thing. Let me see if I wrote it down. The worst thing happened to you that could happen to any fighter. You got civilized.
Yeah, that's
right?
That's a great line.
And it's just this. For me, it's always that reminder of like, yeah, like he's just he's not hungry anymore. He tells him like, you haven't been hungry since you won the belt, right? And all I'm doing is like protecting you.
Yeah.
And so I love that interaction. His death, I think Sylvester Stallone overdoes it with the crying a little bit there.
Well, I think that like, yeah, I would agree. I mean, part of it's like it almost not deters, but like, because like he needs that distraction.
Yeah.
To then have him, you know, getting flustered with the fight. But after the fact, that it's like too much. And I think again, that's why I'm like, to me on my end, where I feel like I wanted more. Maybe it is that I wanted more guilt from Rocky. That, you know, I think I wanted a stronger emotional trigger that is, or the prime for him to then have the bout. We get it later as we get, you know, as he's doing the pre-montage and him hearing Mikey and him reliving the fight with Clubber, that we see his internal turmoil.
Yeah.
And that leads to our favorite scene, right? But
I think I would have wanted just him, because he asks, right? He goes back into the locker room, and Mickey asks like, when like, did you take him out, or how many rounds did it take? And Rocky says 2. And so Mickey dies, believing that Rocky won.
yes.
Which is so heartbreaking.
Yes.
I think that's the scene that like gets me. It's like he didn't necessarily lie to him, but he didn't tell him the full truth, right?
Yeah.
And Mickey gets his tear saying, "I knew you could do it, kid."
Yeah.
Right. And he dies.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, I would have wanted for Rocky to then like later, maybe during that monologue that he has, or dialogue that he has with Adrian, to, yes, I'm afraid, but like, I'm a fake. Like,
yes. Like, I lied to Mickey.
Mickey, you know, died thinking that I won. And like, I have this guilt, this shame even of not being the champ anymore.
Yeah,
I think I would have wanted more of that, I guess, shame and guilt in it as well. But
I mean, good stuff. Look, I love all the boxing fights. I love. This is just a great movie to come back to. I'm glad that we decided to go with. I know Rocky 1 is iconic, but I think there's something to the fact that like we see him revisiting this film for our sports month in this moment, this pivotal, has me just appreciating the entire franchise.
yeah,
Just so much more. You know, I think, you know, I wanted to watch some of the other films. I just had a busy weekend.
yeah.
But I'm like, I'm like making sure I made sure I bought the
Did you
whole,
buy it?
I bought the whole Rocky film. So now I have Creed and Rocky. And so
I pulled out my Blu-ray because I have the 40th anniversary Blu-ray. It's like the heavyweight set. That's what it's called. I watched the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I was looking at the script,
Which I didn't know this, because they did a behind the scenes of the first one. You probably know this. The Steadicam was created in the first Rocky, it was like the first or second time it was used. There was 3 movies. They had a document, like a 20-minute documentary of of the creation of the Steadicam.
Yeah.
And the creator, he's on there. He's like, yeah, like he shows the first time that he uses it with his wife, and he's like, my wife was running down these steps, the Rocky steps in Philadelphia, and like the prototype of what it looked like, the original one looked like, and he's the one that's running following his wife. And then he's like, so as soon as we filmed this, I flew out to Hollywood, and then I sold it. I started selling a version of it for... Rocky was one of the 3 that first used
the Steadicam.
I mean,
I know Halloween is one of the most iconic uses of Steadicam. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, Steadicam is huge. I mean, being in college, this is fun movie fact that like everybody now has it easy.
Yeah.
Right. Gimbals make it stupid easy to get these types of shots now. And, but I have only flown gimbals, Steadicams, a few times in my career.
Okay.
They were much harder to balance. You had to, at least and they were super expensive, now, like, it was expensive at the time, and now because it's easier, there's like, we have the range, we have like the smaller gimbals to big pro gimbals, and so you have the huge spectrum. But the thing was that, like, you could, for $600 for the camera, the bigger cameras that you needed, you would have to have counterweights, and you have to keep all your counterweights there so you could get the right leveling, and then you had not only multiple different balance. Anyways, it's crazy and super difficult to get exactly what's there. But you have, even with, compared to a gimbal, you have way more people who actually master the Steadicam are true craftsmen when it comes to exactly how they want to position their camera.
Yeah.
Because you can easily flip, like, if you're rocking and you need to rotate it to like another to flip the camera like sideways, you cannot get that same style of movement in the same effectiveness as you do with like electronic gimbal. And there's that's why like Hollywood still has these huge, massive gimbal arms with like a huge TV at the bottom and a rigged out setup that isn't on a gimbal, mechanical gimbal. It's because the control and the finesse you can get from them is just unmatched still.
Yeah.
And I love that. Anyways.
No, it was fascinating because I knew a Steadicam was used during Rocky, obviously going up the stairs. But during this, it's like a 17-minute documentary or like quick interview.
Is it in the first one? The first film?
It's in the first film, yeah. And it's cool because like it shows footage of the first time using it, and it's him following his wife down a hill. And then the second time he uses it, he was in Philadelphia, and he had his wife run up the stairs, and he just follows her, right? And so then after that, he flies out to Hollywood, sells it, and then he got hired as the camera operator for Rocky.
Nice.
And so for like it's Garrett Brown, and he's talking about like it was just beautiful for me to like have prototyped it in Philadelphia here at the Rocky Steps. And then John Avildsen saw that footage and he's like, we're going to go do that.
Yeah.
So he's like, had I not prototyped it here in Philadelphia, we would have never shot that scene here.
And it's now
it's like iconic. And then he also, I didn't know, he was also the guy that invented the camera for like NFL games, like over the stadium.
Oh, nice.
He's the one that did that. And he also invented when they jump off like at the Olympics off the diving board, and there's that camera that follows them.
Yeah.
He also created that. The guy's just
an inventor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was cool just to like go through behind the scenes. This is why I love my physical media, man.
I know. I mean, you still get extras in the digital. Freaking this guy. Which shout out to there's been a spike in our reel. We put out a reel that talked about physical versus digital, and we've had a random spike in it.
Yeah.
Anyways, look, this movie, what a great movie to come back to. We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode discussing Rocky 3. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcast. If you love this episode, maybe leave us a review. It does help us get discovered, or share it with a friend.
And we want to hear from you. What do you think of Rocky 3? What are your favorite moments? Is Clubber Lang underrated? You can always connect with us by joining our newsletter at realchums.com/newsletter. You can also find me on Threads at Marstrosity, MARZTROSITY.
And you can find me at review.tv.
Join us next week as we look at the 30th anniversary of Batman Forever. This is starring Val Kilmer, who just recently passed. So I think it's a great time to come back and see this, and it's hitting 30 years.
Crazy. I mean, I turned 33 tomorrow.
Oh, you were a baby when this came out.
But this is my Batman, and I'm pumped to watch this again.
This is such a great Batman.
In Val Kilmer glory.
Yes, yes.
So be sure to watch it on Max this week.
With that said, we'll catch you guys next time.
Later.